Good day, my dear students. Our lesson for today is about passive and active voices. This lesson highlights the grammatical features and forms of voices of the verb. This also focuses on points to be considered in transforming active voice to passive voice and vice versa. Before we start, let us have a short introduction about the subject, verb, and object of a sentence. Subject. A subject is the person, place, thing, or idea that the sentence is about. Example, John wrote a letter. In this sentence, the subject is John. Verb. The verb is the action that is being performed by the subject. It explains what the subject is doing. Example, John wrote a letter. In this sentence, the verb is wrote. The last one is object. The object is the person or thing that receives the action of the verb. Example, John wrote a letter. In this sentence, the object is letter. Voices of the verb. Voices of the verb focuses on the function of the subject being either the doer or performer or the receiver of the action. They are classified as two, active and passive. Active voice occurs when the subject of the sentence acts as the performer or doer of the action, while passive voice indicated that the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Though it is not always present, the doer of the action in passive voice is introduced by the preposition by. Take note of this. Active voice tell us what a person or thing does. The subject perform the action or the verb on the object. Our pattern is subject plus action plus object. Example, Anna painted the house. Anna is the subject, painted is the action, and the object is house. While in the passive voice, it tells us what is done to someone or something. The subject is being acted upon. Our pattern is object plus action plus subject. Example, the house was painted by Anna. House is the object, painted is the action, and Anna is the subject. Let me give you another example. The teachers prepared the materials for their class. The teachers here is the subject, prepared is the action, and materials is the object. Now, let's transform the given example into passive voice. The materials were prepared by the teachers for their classes. Let's see if it follows the pattern. Materials is the object, were prepared is the action, and the subject here is introduced by the preposition by. In transforming a verb from active to passive or vice versa, take note of the tense of the verb. If the verb in active voice is in present tense, the passive voice should also be in passive voice and vice versa. However, the form of the verb as to S or simple forms vary depending on the number of the subjects. In passive voice, the main verb is usually introduced by an auxiliary verb. Let's have an example in a simple present tense. In active voice, Jason prepares his meals. In this sentence, Jason is the subject, prepares is the action, and meals is the object. If we transform it into passive voice, his meals are prepared by Jason. Meals is the object, are prepared is the action, and Jason is the subject introduced by the preposition by. Now, let us now have an example in a simple past tense. Example, in an active voice, Ethan informed his clients on the status of their order. Ethan here is the subject. Informed is the action, and his clients is the object. If we transform it into passive voice, his clients were informed by Ethan on the status of their order. His clients is the object, were informed is the action, and Ethan is introduced by the preposition by as the subject. Now let us now have in a simple future tense. Example, in an active voice, the students will submit their report tomorrow. The students here is the subject, will submit is the action, and their report is the object. If we transform it into passive voice, their report will be submitted by the students tomorrow. Their report is the object, will be submitted is the action, and the subject here introduced by the preposition by is the students. Next is present perfect tense. Example, in active voice, the school has decided to shut off its operation. The school here is the subject, has decided is the action, and its operation is the object. If we transform it into passive voice, its operation has been decided to shut off by the school. Its operation is the object, has been decided is the action, and by the school is the subject. The fifth one is past perfect tense. In active voice, Athena had studied English before she moved to the US. Athena here is the subject, had studied is the action, and English is the object. If we transform it into passive voice, English had been studied by Athena before she moved to the US. The object here is English, had been studied is the action, and Athena is the subject introduced by the preposition by. The last one is future perfect tense. In active voice, Anthony will have baked the cake before he leaves. Anthony here is the subject, will have baked is the action, and the cake is the object. In a passive voice, the cake will have been baked by Anthony before he leaves. The object is the cake, action is will have been baked, and the subject is Anthony introduced by the preposition by. Now, let us have the summary of the lesson. Voice of a verb. The voice of a verb tells whether the subject of the sentence performs or receives the action. Active voice. A sentence is written in the active voice if the subject is doing the action of the verb. And passive voice, a sentence is written in passive voice if the subject receives the action expressed by the verb.